Hey everybody, welcome back. It's Joel again. I'm not going to make this a very long video this time. I just want to do a quick, I'll try and make it as fast as possible, let's put it that way. I wanted to make a couple of comments about the most recent episode of The Flash, The Trap, from last night. I did like it. I wasn't, the only thing I was disappointed about in this episode was that I was hoping maybe we'd get a little bit more insight into what actually happened to Barry from the future and why he ended up missing and disappeared. They didn't really get into that, but Barry, Caitlin, and Cisco all were together and found out more about Gideon, at least. So we found out that in the future, the previous future, that Barry was actually becomes like the director of the police. He actually, instead of just dealing with physics, obviously becomes some kind of a engineer or something because he's the one who created Gideon. Um, and they did find out, obviously, that they didn't know. I don't think they ever found out Earboard's Thawne's name, so I still think they don't know his real name yet. I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they do know he's from the future, um, and um, I think what the biggest thing about this episode was that I thought that what was going to happen was um, that they were going to just basically set the trap. We saw Cisco getting prepped to find out more about how his dream went so he can kind of duplicate it and everything, and he went and reversed the force field so that he could be protected while he was in there and keep speedsters out, whereas before it was trying to keep the reverse flash in. So I'm sitting there thinking, okay, here we go, there's going to be a confrontation. I didn't know really what exactly was going to happen. I just thought there was going to be some kind of battle maybe between the Flash and Reverse Flash, and then the Reverse Flash gets beaten somehow because they're all working together. I don't know, but that didn't even happen. And technically, there really was no confrontation. Really, what happened was that everybody found out that Eobard used the Everyman to go in and actually take his form because he promised him that he was going to, set him free from the jail or whatever, and he went along with it, and that explains why he was able to walk through the force field because he wasn't actually a speedster. In fact, one of Joe's bullets ended up killing him, and that's when everyone found out it wasn't really well. So next thing you know, Eobard's communicating with them remotely, and he's basically explaining that he wouldn't mind in some way of working with all of them, I guess because of the experience that he's had with them, and he doesn't want to actually kill Barry because he needs him. And that part makes sense to me because I know that we all know that Wells needs Barry's speed somehow, some way to be able to get back to his own time. So obviously that hasn't happened yet, and he got his plans basically didn't come they didn't get completed, I guess. But the weird thing about it is that he knew that it wasn't going to happen because apparently Eobard had surveillance like literally everywhere the whole time, and he actually left it on display inside Gideon because when Barry went in there, he could tell that Wells was watching everybody everywhere. So he knew the entire time what they were planning, their suspicions, and everything. And so it turns out that while we thought that Barry and everybody was playing along so that Wells couldn't find anything out, Wells was, or Eobard was really playing along the whole time because he knew that they were onto him, and he was the one pretending not to know anything. So everything just got completely flipped around, and I thought that was kind of cool, but there's still a lot of things we need to find out now. Why did Eobard take Eddie? He told Eddie that he was his last name is Thawne and that he was not from this time. He said that he's his insurance, but in what way? Why would he take Eddie? It just doesn't make any sense. Or maybe he's using Eddie to try and lure them in for a trap, for his own trap. But before he took Eddie, he looked like he was definitely about to kill Iris out there on the road, and the Flash was able to stop him, I guess. But Eobard ended up taking Eddie. So now we know, Barry has sufficient reason to worry about Iris getting killed. And the thing is, in the comics, Iris definitely does get killed. So I think at some point during the show, it's sad to say, but Reverse Flash I think he will end up killing Iris at some point. Now the good news is that because Barry knows how to travel in time, he'll be able to go back and save her at some point probably. But I don't know if it'll take 1 season, 2 seasons, or whenever they decide to let it happen. Reverse Flash is going to kill Iris at some point, unfortunately, if they're going to go along with the comics. But Barry was able to find out more information from Gideon, because I forgot to mention that we found out that Barry's going to create a Gideon, but he also, when they looked at the newspaper article, they saw that Iris's name had Barry's last name. So Barry actually knows at some point in the future that him and Iris actually get married, and so does Cisco and Caitlin. Now they all know that. So they're going along perfectly with the relationship between Barry and Iris in the comics. And at the very end of this show, when Barry was just leaving to chase after the Reverse Flash, there was a spark that left her hand, and that jogged her memory because earlier in the show they had a flashback of when Barry was hit by the lightning after the particle accelerator explosion. She was in the actual hospital room with him talking, and there was a spark on her that touched her hands. When she was touching his hand, there was a spark. So when Barry was leaving her after he saved her, there was that spark, and that made her realize that it was him. And I thought that was interesting. So it's interesting to see what's going to happen now. Actually, you know what? I think I understand it now. Just as I was saying that, it makes sense. And tell me if you agree with me that Eobard told Eddie that he was his insurance. That must mean that so Eobard is deliberately trying to prevent Eddie from marrying Iris, because he knows that if he does marry Iris and has kids with her, he won't be born. Duh. So that's obviously the reason why he wants that to happen. So he's abducted Eddie deliberately, so he's probably going to hide Eddie for this undetermined amount of time to allow Barry and Iris to get close together so that they end up getting together. I guess that makes sense, because if Eobard wanted to kill Iris, it's still not affecting his lineage, it's only affecting Barry's relationship. So he should be perfectly fine with killing Iris at any point in time, but he definitely doesn't want Eddie to marry and have kids with her, because then he won't exist either. So that does make perfect sense. That's got to be the reason why he took him. So I think I figured that part out. Let's see if they put another twist in there, though. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that must be the reason. But we don't know what role Grodd's going to play in this. Apparently in the next episode, Grodd's going to be in this, causing a bunch of damage, and I think he might be going after Joe. So I don't know, but I can't wait to see that, to see more of Grodd. Other than that, there was also, I remember there was a back scene or a flashback when Eobard was actually in the hospital room with Barry as well, and he was actually explaining that he, watching Barry grow up, since his mother died, Barry kind of grew up a different way than he did in the previous future timeline. So he said that it was interesting watching Barry, kind of behave differently and being affected, the way he grew up was a little bit different, and he wasn't turning into the man that he was, that Eobard knew from the other future. And I guess that probably made him, but he said that all is not forgiven, and that makes us think that maybe, in the other timeline, there's some kind of beef between him and Barry, but they're not really getting at what. Now in the comics, we know that Eobard was upset with Barry because of the fact that, Eobard was just obsessed with him. He got plastic surgery to look like him, but because he was socially challenged and basically, whacked out, Barry's not going to be cool with somebody like that, so they could never really have a real true friendship. Now whether they try to emulate that in the series, I don't know if there's going to be something else thrown in. I really trust the writers here. I think they're really creative, and they're doing a good job of staying along with the comics and keeping people that aren't comic book fans interested in it. So I like what they're doing. So I really can't wait to see what's going to happen. But I think at the end of the day, after this episode, I'm pretty sure that the Reverse Flash is trying to make sure that he ensures he's going to be born by keeping Eddie from marrying Iris. We know that Iris, because of that spark between her and Barry's hand, she's realized now that he's the Flash. Um, Caitlin and Cisco are both safe for now, and pretty much everybody else except Everyman, he got killed. Um, but we know that Iris is in danger. It's probably only a matter of time before Reverse Flash goes after her to kill her. I hope it doesn't happen soon, but let me know what you think. Those are the main things I took away from it. I think it was a really good episode. If you like this video, go ahead. Excuse me. If you like this video, go ahead and like it, or go ahead and subscribe if you want. And I'm going to put up more stuff soon and polish everything up soon, I promise. But for now, I'm just going to keep on putting my 2 cents in on the shows that I like. If I left anything out, or if you wanted to comment on something that you thought was interesting about the latest episode, go ahead and do it. And I hope everyone has a good day. All right, bye.